Hi traders, how you guys doing? Welcome to another great week with Capital FX. I hope you guys had a great weekend and you had some time to rest and you're ready for this coming week. So I'll be going through 6 pairs today. Just going through last week's price action behavior and looking into this week. So last week we had big moves last week on all the pairs that we had analyzed. And like I said in the Telegram group, there's yet some more price movement that we'll begin to see into August and into the rest of the month. So we'll be looking at GBP/USD, EUR/USD, AUD/USD, the NZD dollar, and we'll look at gold and USD/JPY. So the first one on the list is GBP/USD. This pair has really, to be honest, has been on a really downward trend for the most part of the year. This is a daily time frame. So let me just mark out our price structure. So that was a high, we had a low, and then from the lows we had a high low, and then we dropped further down to create some form of lower low around these regions here, and then we created a further high low, and then we dropped all the way down to create the yearly lows around about 1.2794, which is currently the lowest that the GBP/USD has been for this year. So there's a form of support that we're waiting to see what price does at these regions here, and you can clearly see that from that area of support it was now a resistance for price to drop further down. So this was last week's move round about from these regions here. So we're expecting a sell from these regions last week. So the whole of last week we had this pair dropping all the way down to create new lows for the year for this pair, and we're sort of hit some area of support, and we could potentially see some pullbacks, even price breaking above these regions and even going beyond. So there's this inner trend line that I have. So let me just go to the weekly quickly and I'll show you the different trend lines I have. So on the weekly, this is the outer trend line that I have, and then I have that inner trend line, the daily inner trend line. So if we just go back to the daily, we had first hit on the trend line, we had price move away and came back right on the trend line, moved back, almost attempted it, and we now found ourselves at an area of support. So by the way, by the looks of things, from how price is, we could potentially see from where price is, because we sort of have a tweezer bottom candlestick formation, and we're just having spikes in one direction. So from here, what we could potentially see is a slight pullback. If not on this weekly area of support, we could see price just come tap that trend line there for the third time, and then sort of come back to this area of support, and then shoot upwards and to come attempt this outer trend line here. So we've been pretty bearish actually on GBP/USD for like the most part of the year, and we've never really seen like a big pullback or a great reversal on this pair. So I'm just keeping my eye on this pair, but as it stands, we have a really strong area of support at the regions here, and we have a tweezer bottom formation right in these areas. And also looking at our EMAs, they are still pointing downwards on the daily time frame. Let me just drop low to the 4 hours, have a look at them, how they look like there. On the 4 hours, we are about to have an EMA crossover to the upside. We're about to have an EMA crossover to the upside. So we could see the bulls coming. We could see the bulls come into play this week, and hopefully for the most parts of August. As you can see, that at the area of support, which sort of looks like a head and shoulders, or an inverted head and shoulders, sorry, that will be the shoulder, head, and that will be the right shoulder. So we could see some explosive price action around these regions, shooting all the way upwards. Just one more thing to also look at with GBPUSD is this counter trend line. This counter trend line here. This counter trend line here. So what I'll be looking for to take my long trades is any break above this counter trend line here. So any break above this trend line here, I'll be looking to place a long trade around those regions there. So any break above this form of this counter trend line, I'll be looking to take a trade around these zones here. So they can do this, bounce over that counter trend line, and then start setting sail up to the outer trend line around those regions here. So that's what I'm looking at for on GBPUSD. But this pair definitely does seem that it is dropped well enough, and we could potentially see some reversal in this pair. So one thing that would invalidate my long setup is if price drops lower and closes below these levels here. So if price drops any lower and form of tests the support area resistance, we could see the pound dollar falling even further. But I actually keep my eye on this one. So my overall bias for GBPUSD, with this example here, is a long bias. So I'll be keeping an eye on this pair for any long trades, and I'll update. Just one more thing before I move into the next pair. We have this triangle. We have this triangle formation here. So at a hit here, hit there, and we can just slowly see that the bearish momentum is slowly withering down, and we're in for a potential reversal. So from here, we could have a head down, and we have an aggressive breakout. So these regions are my regions of interest. I'm really waiting to see that aggressive breakout, and for price to start setting sail, going all the way upwards. So in terms of risk to reward ratio, I'll be waiting to take any long trades around these regions here, regions there, and then have my stop just tightly below the previous low here. And in terms of target, the trend line, the inner trend line will be my first form of target, which is around about 285 pips, which is quite a decent target. So GBPUSD bias is long, and waiting for an aggressive breakout from these sort of regions up here. Second on the list is EURUSD. EURUSD exploded from market open. We had market open around about here, and we had just this massive explosion on EURUSD. So also drop down to daily time frame. Daily time frame. We have these two form of trend lines that we have. We have the outer trend line. Let me actually see how long it extends. So we have at these two main trend lines. So if I go to the weekly, we have our outer trend line and we have our inner daily trend line. So let's drop down to the weekly, on the daily. EURUSD has just exploded. Actually, like just from that key level here, the monthly key level, where price explode all the way upwards. And the prime reason also for that, we had this nice 3-pin formation 1, 2, 3 on the daily. So this was Friday's close, which looked pretty bullish. And if I just look at also when it comes to the EMAs, yeah, it looks like the EMA is about to cross over to the upside, which could help us now see some more bullish movement on EURUSD. So EURUSD and GBPUSD had been pretty bearish for the most part of the year, so we could be in for some more bullish movement here, and we had that form of support hold for like a while now. Let me just mark it out. This area of support here, holding for like a while now, and we made attempts to come to the first form of trend line that we have. So what we could see here is a slight pullback, possibly also back to this form of support, if not at least mid-range here, and then we'll have price shooting upwards, hopefully breaking this trend line here, and possibly going up to our outer trend line here, also sort of back to these highs here, and even further. So this is the daily time frame. So 3-pin formation on the daily, also broke above our key level, very bullish in this run, and we also just get out on H4, and we also this was our previous swing high, and remember the rules. If we break the previous swing high, so if you sort of because we're currently here, so if we break the swing high above and then we test that as support, means that this downward trend is now exhausted and we are on an upward trend. So this is our previous swing high. We've currently broken it aggressively, and any sort of pullback to bounce on this form of resistance, which is now support, we could see EURUSD shooting even higher, or we could have just a slight deep pullback and price explode even higher. Let me see if there's a fib on this. She's a fib on this. So fib there. So fib here. So as this candle is currently forming, so we could see price just slightly pull back. So if price doesn't pull back on this sort of area, you see price just slightly pull back to these levels, yeah, and shooting even higher. So I'll be really interested to see what happens within these levels here, for me to take any long trades. But I will update on the groups. So just keep an eye on these pairs. So that's EURUSD. So I'm really waiting to see what price does. What I'm expecting is a slight pullback either on this line here or just slightly lower to tap that EMA, and then price shooting upwards there. So in terms of risk to reward ratio, like I said, I'll be looking for long trades around these areas here, and first potential target is that area of resistance around about 125 pips, but I'm setting on a higher target right on that trend line on 183 pips. In terms of stop placement, just slightly below that key level here. So as you can see, this stop is really quite big, also given the fact where we're taking the trade, and so just always manage your risk properly. So try to go for a 1% risk per trade, because I'll be trading many pairs. So just spread out your risk across, or just focus on one pair from all the pairs that we analyze. So that's EURUSD. Bias is bullish. Then the third on the list is gold. Third on the list is gold. So There's a channel that I drew on gold. Let's go to the weekly. So firstly, weekly gold, we now achieved the high of the year, high of 2019 at 1,461 per ounce on gold, and this is the highest we've been this far on gold. The last time we were at these highs here was back in 2014. Yeah, around about 2014. So it's been a while since being at those levels. So gold has really moved, like this year has been pretty bullish this year, and we could see some form of resistance there. Then we could see some price movement on gold that will be downwards. So, but first thing, we have a trend line here on gold. We have a big outer trend line here on gold. Sorry. A big trend line here on gold, and let's drop down to the daily time frame. Daily time frame, this channel just looks much better on the daily time frame. So we had an area of resistance here, 1 2 3 1 2. So being sort of in a consolidation area for a while now. So what we could expect on gold, because last week closed pretty we're sort of indecisive last week Friday, and then Thursday there was a big aggressive bullish engulfing candlestick formation. So but I also think gold could push slightly higher, but at this moment here we're just waiting to see what price does on this trend line here. So if price does break this trend line here, you could see price just slightly breaking it, bouncing off of that as support, and even shooting higher. But at the moment, really checking out gold, what happens at these levels here. But what could also potentially happen is that since we have this area of resistance, we could see price slightly come back here, break this form of channel, because we are currently in a consolidation zone. So most of the times, if price is in a consolidation zone, we do expect an aggressive breakout. So we could break for gold to even go lower. So that's my outlook on gold. The current bias on gold, we are in an era of consolidation. Really waiting to see what price does within this form of channel. If price breaks the channel, we could set sail on an even higher price, on 1,500 an ounce. On 1,550 an ounce on gold, and even higher. But at the moment, gold is stuck in the channel, and we will expect some explosive breakouts. So if we just go to H4 quickly, this is how the channel looks like. So we're creating these slight high highs, and I'm really interested at what happens at this level here. So if we fail to break this area here, we could definitely see gold slightly pull back and also potentially going lower. Next on the list is USD-JPY. USD-JPY, which is directly negatively correlated with the gold. With gold. First thing is to always drop on the weekly, see how price has been behaving overall. So we had really big movements on this pair last week. The first one being like this aggressive bearish engulfing candlestick formation, which was happened last week, and then we sort of had these areas of support, previous areas of support in this pair, and we really now are in the middle of like nowhere really, because there's no form of support that you can attach where price is, but we are actually on a key level on the monthly support of 106 on USD-JPY, we are at a critical level of 106 on USDJPY. So and also the EMAs are still facing downwards. So if I just drop fib, so this was the initial fib. We had price raise to 38.2 and explode all the way downwards. So we are at a critical level on 106, but our first target hasn't been hit as yet. So I'm really looking forward to see what price does at these levels. Yeah. So drop down on the daily. Daily also looks pretty bearish. Let's drop down to H4 to get more clarity. So here's H4. There's no real form of structure now because we just dropped all the way. So but from this level here we could it's possible for us to see a sort of pullback upwards, on this daily area of support and drop even lower to these levels here. So I'm keeping my eye on this. We are at a very critical level on this pair, and we sort of have this Morningstar candlestick formation on support. So I'm really looking forward to see how this pair plays out. And then the other pair on the list is AUDUSD. AUDUSD, we just this page just like melted off the face of the earth. Like it's been dropping ever since the 22nd of July. It's been on a downward trend. It's been dropping, no form of pullbacks, just on a downward trend. And interestingly, we are on the yearly lows. So this was back in January. We had a low on 0.67459, and price is actually right on this region here. Right on this region here. And we're currently patiently waiting to see how price closes. But first, for more signs of reversal, what I'm seeing here on Friday was a doji candle, signs of indecisiveness and potential reversal. So we could see some potential reversal on AUDUSD, sort of a pullback, and then price dropping. If price has to drop, we could see some further aggressive drops on this pair. But currently, at the moment, we are at a critical area of support, and we could see some form of pullbacks. First signs of pullback could be on the first form of pullbacks could be on this previous area of support, or even higher on 38.2. So let's drop down to the daily, up to the 4 hour, and have a look at some price action there. So we're in the 4 hours now. The EMAs are still pointing downwards, so we're still in a downward trend. So we're just waiting to see what price does at these levels here. So let's go in the 1 hour. We're in the hourly now. So hourly, we had, you can see like these massive spikes. We're hitting this area of support, and there's no like real candle close below this area here. So what's telling us that we are still we're just having this collision between the bears and the bulls, and we're just waiting to see which one gains the dominance. But all these spikes, no real closer below this level here. So we could be seeing some further reversal of this pair, and we could also see an inverted head and shoulders potentially forming, which will be the left shoulder, the head, and right shoulder, and price shooting upwards. So it's interesting. This is very interesting. Like these zones here, see that price here will be actually very interesting. So we have a counter trend line also on this pair here. So I'm really interested to see what price does at these levels here. So if price breaks this level here we could see some potential rise on this pair, even going higher. So in terms of risk to reward ratio, any longs around these zones here, stop loss just slightly below that area of support. And in terms of targets, first move targets, this daily area of resistance on 63 pips and even higher. But I will be updating on the group in terms of when to potentially take trades, sort of regions to look out for, and also in terms of risk to reward ratio. And then the next one on the list is NZD USD. The New Zealand dollar is actually an exact mirror image of AUD USD. They move slightly the same way. So this is NZD, and it looks like we're at an area of support. Looks like we're at an area of support. Oopsie, yeah. It looks like we're at an area of support, and we could see some price reversal shooting upwards. So this is the daily, this is a weekly time frame. So it looks like we're at an area of support there. So drop down to the daily. Daily as well, seeing some big signs of reversal. The first one just spikes all the way, spiked the second spike right on that area of support, and we saw prices pull back at those levels. The EMAs are still facing downwards, so what we could potentially see is a big reversal, sort of back to this area of resistance, and if price decides to go any lower, we could see some further lows on this pair. But if I pull out a fib, it could actually be a nice area here, right on the 38.2. So we could see price shoot up to 38.2, but we'll see how price closes there. But I'm pretty confident that from here we will have some upward movement, because we've never had a real retracement since price has been dropping from the 19th of July. So bias on this one for this moment here, we are long. Bias, let me just pull up the risk to reward ratio tool. So long trade, actually let me go to H4 to get a clearer entry where we could take our trade. Let me just remove this. As you can see here, we're in sort of a range. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if price breaks above here and tests this as support. We could be rising even higher. So in terms of targets, any entries within these regions here, and then stops just below the area of support. First target 64 pips, and we just aim even higher on this trend line here at 118 pips. So NZD also looking pretty bullish at the moment, because we have never had any form of like real pullback on this pair. Well guys, I hope you I hope you guys enjoyed the weekly breakdown, and please use good risk management, because we're covering a lot of pairs. So try to spread out your risk across all the pairs, or if you just choose one of the pairs to trade, just focus on one with the most clear setup and take your trades based on the rules that I've taught you guys. Right, so from my side, thanks so much guys, and I will update as the pairs move on the group. And thank you guys, and have a great week of trading.